Welcome to Terrifying Tales, the channel dedicated to bringing you original horror stories. Please support the channel by hitting the like button or leaving a comment. And please consider subscribing to the channel by hitting the subscribe button on the bottom right hand corner of the screen. Prefer to read these yourself? A written version of the story is available to read on Substack, and the link's in the description. The Still and Silent Madness of Snow White by C.J. Knight. Her coffin was clear, glass panels sealed in gold, both beautiful and cold. The perfect encasement for someone both beautiful and broken. It was where they laid her after the poisoned apple lodged in her throat. Oh, how they wept, how they prayed. But they never buried her. They wanted to look. Her glass coffin was on display like a piece of art. How could a corpse look so alive, they wondered. As she remained in her glass tomb, she remembered her life. The flitter of the meadow grass on her fingertips, the warmth of the sun's rays on her skin white as snow. But most often, her mind remembered the taste of the apple. Her eyes were closed, mind open, a constant tortured scream ripping through her thoughts, willing her body to move. The scream went unanswered. Snow's body remained stone, and breath remained buried deep within her chest. Time marched on. Seasons shifted. In her glass tomb she remained, not dead or alive, trapped both within her glass tomb and her own body. It was called a miracle the day Snow White stirred beneath the lips of a prince and true love's kiss. Her pale lashes fluttered like the wings of a butterfly. Breath filled her lungs once more, stuttering to life, like a young bird learning to fly for the first time. Above her faces beamed with the silent wonder of reverence. Joyful tears rained down like a summer rain shower. The prince's lips tingled from the kiss he dared to steal. Beneath the steady rise and fall of Snow's chest, no one noticed the tiny tremble of her finger. No one heard the silent scream in her mind as her mouth refused to obey. But Snow noticed everything. The prince's kiss had not broken the curse. Not really. It had merely shifted the boundaries. Her eyes opened. Her chest rose and fell with each new breath. But inside the glass tomb she remained, no more than an exhibit for the amazement of others. No one noticed at first. Snow blinked, only once. Her gentle lashes flitted like a hummingbird wing, almost too fast to comprehend. Once she moved a finger. Observers noted this, but attributed it to a shifting breeze. Her now open eyes became a curse. Before the stolen kiss of a prince, Snow was only forced to listen to those who came to visit. Now she was forced to see their curious ogling eyes, studying her like a painting, and not the woman she was. As they transported her glass coffin to the prince's palace, Snow willed her body to move, tried to scream. Nothing happened. Over the tortured scream of her mind, the prince's voice fought its way through the glass panels. He spoke of weddings, true love and destiny, told Snow how her beauty haunted his dreams. They placed Snow in the castle's eastern tower. She was no wife, no queen, nothing more than a relic on display for curious eyes. She sleeps again, the prince would sigh at those who would listen. But soon she'll wake for good. She needs only time. Servants polished the glass, draped it in silks, changed the flowers daily. Snow heard it all. Every step on the stone, every whisper spoken in the room, envious murmurs from noblewomen jealous of the prince's infatuation. But she could not answer them. Frozen she remained, silent and still, with skin white as snow. Over time some movement returned. Snow could move her hands, blink her eyes, wiggle her toes. But if eyes fell on her, even a momentary glance, her little movements would cease. To stone she returned, a fate worse than death, fully conscious in a coffin, unable to die. Snow counted the days in patterns of light across the floor. When the moon was full, a silver line crossed the ceiling. On stormy nights, the shadows twisted along the stone tower walls, like hands reaching for her. Movement returned to her mouth. She tried biting her tongue, hoping to bleed out death and escape from the prison of her mind. But the curse had no sympathy. It would not let her go. Snow wondered if the witch had known this would happen all along. Had she meant for Snow to die or to suffer? Was the apple a death sentence or a life sentence? As her sanity waned, voices came to Snow in the dark. Something would whisper inside the glass tomb, not air, not wind. Do you remember the forest, little lamb? You're not sleeping now, you're watching, waiting. We're watching too. Snow tried to block the voices out, but they crept into her mind like stretching vines, wrapping around her every thought. They hummed lullabies she hadn't heard since childhood. And one night they whispered something new. He will never break the glass. He wants you like this, still, beautiful, silent Snow White. She tested him. When the prince came alone, she stared directly into his eyes. He spoke to her like one speaks to a mirror, bragged of wars he hadn't fought, told her of the adoration the masses held for her. You are perfect as you are, he once said, caressing the glass. So serene, so obedient. The voice whispered in her mind, See now, we warned you. He wants you to stay like this. Snow imagined plunging her thumbs into his eyes. On the 100th full moon, she saw something in the tower room outside her coffin, something just beyond the glass, a figure cloaked in black. Terror filled her frozen body. It was the shape of the witch, who once upon a time offered her an apple filled with poison. It did not speak. The figure simply hung in the shadows and watched her, just like they all did. After that night, Snow changed. Deep down, she knew it wasn't sudden. The change was a gradual one, worn down by silence, a prisoner in her own mind. It had caused something else to blossom. Fury. Not loud or wild like fire. It was cold as a glass tomb, rooted deep within. Snow smiled at the guests, just a little, enough to give them pause, making them question whether they'd even seen her smile at all. A twitch of the finger, a blink. The rumours began. The princess lives. The prince ordered the tower sealed. She was his. Only he would gaze upon the still silent beauty of Snow White. The prince ordered her moved to his chambers. Now Snow watched the prince, watched his chest rise and fall as he slept, heard his screams as he dreamed. One stormy night, lightning cracked the sky. The castle shook, and the glass tomb around Snow White sang. The glass panels hummed like a bell. Snow lifted her hands. She pressed her fingers against the glass lid in front of her. It did not resist. With a gentle click, the panel opened. In the room's corner, Snow spied the cloaked figure. It stepped forward and placed an apple on Snow's delicate fingers. The figure nodded once at the prince sleeping soundly in his bed, then vanished. Snow crept toward the prince's bed. She stood over him, watching the rhythmic rise and fall of his chest. The prince woke. Lightning from the storm lit up the room, bright as a summer day. He saw her standing over his bed. You're awake," he said, breathless. "My love, at last." Snow tilted her head. Her voice was like the first crack of frost on a pond. "Have I ever been asleep?" She broke a small piece of the apple off in her hand. The prince opened his mouth to respond. Snow pressed her palm flat to his mouth, forcing the poisoned apple piece down his throat. "Now it's your turn." The next morning, servants found the prince silent and still inside the glass coffin, and no sign of Snow White. No one heard the screams inside the prince's mind.